So I'm just going to start this conversation. I'm going to start this conversation with you, Akanke, because basically I remember the first time I saw you, I was coming out of a supermarket in Wester Hall, and there was something about your energy, something about your presence, something about you that made me want to lean in. So I remember smiling at you as you were walking in and I was walking out. And then I held a circle in Grenada and you showed up, and there was definitely that sort of sense of a real centered presence and a real centered energy being in front of me that I wanted to actually interact with more. And so far we've been expanding our friendship and expanding our connection, which has been really beautiful. And it felt really apt to have this conversation with you because I know that you are so spiritually centered and so spiritually based. It feels like it formulates the core of your everyday living. So to have a conversation with you around awareness, around energy awareness, and also around wealth awareness, around what it means to have a message, have a voice, have an expression, and allow ourselves to align to the wealth within so that we can actually have the divine mirror that wealth on the outside of us. So welcome, Akanke. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine, Tash. Thank you so much for having me.
So what we're going to do is basically go through the energy centers with this and go through each of the ways that we express ourselves into the world through our energy, and really look at it through the lens of wealth and look at it through the lens of divine wealth, basically. So the first energy center that comes up is the base, which is the ways that we connect to our body, the ways that we connect to our community, the ways that we connect to our world in a real physical way. And it's also the ways that we connect to our resources. So when you think about wealth and you think about physical wealth, body, what comes up first for you there?
Well, without wealth in our body, we compromise every other kind of wealth, really. The foundation for our physical existence is being well in our body. And I'm a person who really promotes body intelligence, which is the ability to be in tune with your body, to hear your body's messages, to have that kind of awareness, and then do something with that awareness that helps your body to maintain its proper balance.
I remember coming over to your place and actually we were speaking about this sort of vegan and being vegetarian and really about what we take into our bodies and how that really feeds our soul in a lot of ways. So I completely hear you in terms of the body intelligence and the wealth intelligence. And I remember talking to you as well about becoming vegan and to a large extent, the challenges that could present, because it means a complete re-education in some ways, if that hasn't been the lifestyle, and also sinking into to becoming quite strong in terms of keeping that road when everybody around you, that's not their thing, you know? So definitely I can hear what you're talking about in terms of the body intelligence there.
Yeah, well, I think everybody, veganism is not for everyone. And what I promote is mostly raw. In other words, being conscious of taking in wholesome, fresh, natural foods. So that means fresh fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. But if you are one who consumes meat, to consume it consciously. I'm a Muslim, so I don't think that everybody has to be a vegan, but if you're going to eat meat that is divinely prepared, that's raised well, it's all about consciousness and awareness.
Yeah.
I was all raw for 2.5 years, from 1999 to 2001. And that was one of the most rejuvenating lifestyles that I've ever encountered. And for different reasons, after 2.5 years, I stopped being all raw, but I still promote mostly raw. And there was a period where I started to eat meat again myself, and would do simple proteins, for example, dish with a huge salad or some kind of raw dish that I would make. Today, I am vegan again. I'm all vegan. I'm not 100% raw, but I'm mostly raw because some things you have to cook. And I like warm food. There are different ways to warm your food, but primarily I eat mostly raw, and I'm vegan again. And it's just where the spirit has led me to at this point in my life, and it feels great. I can feel it in my body immediately.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that. That. I promote conscious eating, conscious living, and on all sides of the spectrum, you can consume food, whatever your choices are, consciously, wholesomely, and consume foods that are pure.
So it's such a big one because it's so telling on the body, isn't it? When we actually feed the body with things that it can absorb and we can utilize energy-wise, then it pays us back in dividends, doesn't it, really?
It does. You can tell immediately. Yeah.
And then when you think of wealth of community, because that's also in the base. And for me, it's really important to be surrounded with the right energy, the right frequency, the energy that gives you an uplift, because everything goes from there, and community is so important. So what comes up for you when you think of that?
We, as social beings, we are connected to family and community. And so it is very important to consciously choose who we are in community with.
Yes.
And, of course, it starts with being in community, in communion with oneself. And actually, I have a concept called unified love. And this is where we love the Creator, and that the Creator's love, our love for the Creator and the Creator's love for us, grounds us in loving ourselves and life, the life that we've been given. And through that unified love between God and self, we extend that to others in community. So family, community, it's about that divine spiritual existence that gets played out in the world through community. And it's very important to be conscious of who we choose to be in commune with. And we have a family of birth, and then we have a family of choosing. And for many people, that might be a faith community. It may be a community where you live. And to some degree or another, it's all of that. And it's really important to make sure that the community that we create, and the community that we ground ourselves in, is nurturing, and that we are also giving nurturance to that community. It's a two-way street. It's a beautiful dance, if you will, that we leave, when we enter a space, we come with love and light and intention, good intention, and we leave with having shared that. So that when we leave, our energy in the community has been felt and seen with sincerity and love and appreciation and mutual respect and love.
That's talking to being really present, isn't it? It's talking to being really present and really engaged in terms of the interactions that you're having within the community.
Yeah, living with awareness. I think awareness is the key to everything. So even when we talk about food, it's about awareness. When we talk about community, it's about awareness. Everything really is centered around awareness and do with that awareness.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, definitely. Being intentional about how we're living.
Yes, absolutely. And when we think of wealth in terms of resources, because wealth, a lot of times when we think of wealthy people, when we think of wealth, we tend to actually equate it to financial or to money. And that is a part of it, but it's not the full picture. For me, it's come right through to the resources and to the divine resources that are all around us, of which money is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
When you think of wealth in terms of resources, what comes up for you with that?
Well, I think there's abundance. There's an abundance of resources that we have to attract. We
Mm,
attract through our being, through our thinking, through our spirituality, and I think we have to be aware of our thoughts around abundance
mm,
and remove any thoughts of lack and um, competition, and
mm,
just trust that the divine resources that you need, whether it's time or money or other material resources, just trust that through your spirit and your intention as you engage in life, that it will be sent to you, that it will come to you, that you
mm,
will create it and manifest it, and be aware and patient in that process and
mm,
listen to the guidance. So I find that nowadays there's a lot of attention around, uh, for entrepreneurs particularly, around attracting a certain number of people on your list, a certain number of there's all these gurus who teach you marketing strategies so that you can, make it big, so that you can become, reach that goal. And for me, I focus on making it good, like
mm.
being good to attract the good.
Yeah.
And if that's 10 people, great. If that's 100 people, fine. It's not about the numbers. It's about the quality. It's about the intention and what you want to attract, and attracting it for the right reasons, to be of service, to help to transform people, help transform the world. So those are the richest, that's the richness in life for me.
Mm,
Money is a residual of that, and we need money to do things.
mm,
I think we have to be conscious of how we are thinking about wealth and abundance, and to make sure that we know that there is abundance, and that we have a right to that, and make sure that we cleanse ourselves of feelings of lack or um, competition, if you will, for
mm.
competition for unlimited resources, if you will.
Yeah.
There are, or competition for limited resources, I should say.
Mm.
Yeah. So
That's such a big one, because that's peeling off layers and layers of conditioning. And it's really, when we talk about energy awareness, it's really about having the awareness of what your thought processes are in and of the
exactly.
moment. Because these thought processes come through in and of the moment. When you talk about having thoughts around lack or having beliefs around lack, you're witnessing those in the moment, and to be able to switch them in the moment is where the
Absolutely.
work is, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And also, when you talk about competition, that's another big thing, because again, that's so much in the collective mindset. That we live in a dog eat dog kind of world, and it's kind of like we have to compete against each other. And if I am being successful in business, it means that you are less successful. There's always that sort of sense. So to come to a place where you're actually giving from the divinity that's within, and sharing from the divinity that's within, with a level of understanding that whatever is coming through you is uniquely yours. It's yours to, and no one else can actually replicate that, really. Um,
Absolutely.
the message is there to come through you, to come through your voice, to come through your pulse, to come through your energy.
Mhm.
And we live in a world where we don't always appreciate that. That's actually going up a bit more into the solar plexus. So, but yeah, basically that competition element is so, that again is kind of like taking off layers of conditioning to get
Yeah.
to that central point, isn't it?
Yeah. Really, I think when it comes to competition, we should only compete with ourselves to become better and better and
Mm.
better. I have a concept that I call always ascending.
Yes.
Is the concept of always engaging in life in such a way that whatever you experience, you understand that it's meant to help you grow, to continue growing through your joys and your challenges, so that everything that you do in life is part of your ascension.
Yes.
That when you look back at your life, you can see the aggregate of your joys and your challenges, your peaks and your valleys, because of your intention and your thinking and your spiritual understanding, that you always ascend through everything that you experience, because that's your intention in life. You look for the lessons and the challenges. And so the competition really is with oneself, to actualize oneself, to become the best that we can become, and to accept the best in the moment, to have compassion, you know, to say, to recognize that you are the best in the moment, that you, in every moment, and just strive to make every moment the best. And that also means over time improving upon whatever is divinely yours to improve upon. And everybody has their own journey, you know.
Absolutely. And so when we move up to the sacral is very much about feelings and emotions, and it's also our creative center as well. But it's basically that sort of sense of, how do we want people to feel when they interact with us? How do we want to feel when we interact with other people? And when we bring wealth into that, because for me, there's always a sense of creating a space, either for myself or for other people to come into, that is wealthy. And when I say wealthy, it's kind of like that sort of yummy sort of feeling that you get where you kind of enter a space that feels beautiful, or just feels lush, or feels in tune, or feels resonant, or it feels like somebody has put thought into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, definitely.
What comes out for you when you think of wealth in terms of feelings, emotions, creativity, that sort of area?
I think, first of all, it's important for us to acknowledge that we are emotional beings.
Yes.
In terms of, we encounter life through our emotions, and to also be aware that our emotions are really connected to our thinking. So we live from moment to moment in the feeling of our thinking. So for example, you could have two people experiencing the same thing, but have different emotional responses based on each individual's thinking about that experience. So it's really important for us to see that externally, what we have, what we experience externally, is really coming from inside of us, number one. So, and I also think it's very important for us to acknowledge the range of our emotions and our thinking, and to embrace them all, suppress any part of who we are, and embrace all of that. So I'm a feeling person. If I walk into a room, I feel it before I really, I see it, but I feel it also.
Yes.
So I have that sensitivity where I feel the energy in a space. And it's very important that we create spaces that nurtures who we are, create sanctuaries in our homes. Our home is our sanctuary. And to create spaces, especially if we're in a shared space, to create a space that's unique for us, our own personal sanctuary. It could be the corner of a room, or it could even be a closet. It could be, it could be whatever your spirit calls you to. But to create that and fill it with colors and energy and smells and sounds that really nurtures the wealth of who you are, and nurtures your feelings and elevates your energy as well. So feelings are important, spaces are important, creativity is so important, I think, especially for women. I think for everyone, but especially for women. Often multitask, and our creativity helps us to renew our energy and self-expression. I really think, our creative expression is really life-giving force for us. So whether we are creative at being a mother, or creative at being a writer, or a singer, or a painter, or a dancer, or a thinker, or an intuitive person. Our creativity can be expressed in many ways, and it's important for us to be in tune with ourselves in terms of awareness, personal awareness, so that we give full expression to our creativity. And that can come in a range, a variety of ways. So it boils down again to personal awareness. What what is the best form of creative expression for each individual is up to that person to be aware of. Yeah.
It's when it comes to entrepreneurship, or when it comes to business, and especially when it comes to the business where you're giving from a place that's very soulful, that's very personal to you. I feel like this is a massive piece, because how do you want to feel in your business? Like, how do you want other people to feel when they come to your business, or when they interact with your work, or when they interact with your service, or that kind of thing? It's a massive one. And when you were talking about actually making spaces in your home, or wherever it is that you are, that actually is got your energetic stamp, and it's a sanctuary that you can come to. That also, I feel, is so important, because it's kind of, especially like at the start of the day as well, where you can come somewhere and really center yourself. I mean, a lot of us would call that your altar, but you center yourself in a place that is infused with your energy and is high vibration and high frequency, because you've made it that way by what you've put into that space.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very important. I mentioned earlier that, well, I believe that in life we should leave things better than we find them. That's just the space that I walk in life. And when it comes to spaces, whether it's home or work, definitely we want to create a space that we love and that others benefit from when they engage with us in that space. So they feel the spirit of your intention, they feel the spirit of your love, the spirit of your vibration. And on a daily basis, we should make sure our vibration is at a level that is that energizes us and carries us forward. And so, yeah, I definitely think that spaces are so important, and we should make sure that we renew, cleanse, and clean the energy in our spaces regularly. Just this morning, I burned some white sage, and yesterday I burned sage as well, to help ensure that the energy in my space, the vibration was lifted. Because, as you know, I've experienced loss. My husband passed away a month ago, and so that energy in this space needed to be lifted and shifted, so that my energy can be lifted and shifted as well. And so there are certain things that we can do in terms of burning and cleansing and aromatherapy and move some things around, and so it makes it for us, and then other people feel that when they come into the space with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so incredibly important. And again, to have the awareness that is important is a big one as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when we move up into the solar plexus, because the solar plexus, and when we talk about wealth within the solar plexus, we're really talking about the wealth of our individual blueprint, about the wealth that we've been handed as a gift from divine source, as a thumbprint of divine source that's within us, basically. When you think of wealth in that area, what comes up for you? Because again, when we were talking about business previously, we were talking about, you were saying about not having competition. And when you're operating from that divine blueprint, competition just does not even enter the headspace, right?
Yeah. One thing that we have to really embrace is our own uniqueness. And know that our uniqueness is our superpower. It's what makes us unique in the world, and we have been uniquely inspired by the Creator with that blueprint, and it's unique for us. We have to recondition ourselves. It's so important to be aware of the overculture, what the society, how the society conditions us. And it starts at a very young age. And as conscious adults, we have to really become aware to purge that overculture conditioning where we are, we forget, we are conditioned to forget who we are and to look at other people and to aspire to be, you know, like the celebrity syndrome, if you will. We are our own celebrity. We are our own guru. God has divinely inspired us with some unique gifts that are constantly calling us from a very young age. And depending on how we are brought up, we can be either conditioned to be in touch with that at a young age, or we can be conditioned to forget that for a long time until we become conscious adults, hopefully, and we get back in touch with that. Yeah. So our blueprint is our superpower. And we have to get quiet to tap into the awareness and the spirit of what that unique blueprint is. It's always there. It will never go away. It may get subdued. It may get repressed, suppressed, oppressed, or whatever. But it will never leave because it's part of your divine blueprint. When we are in the womb, the spirit of the Creator is breathed into us. And that's part of our blueprint. And the spirit, the Creator divinely inspires us. There's an attribute of God in Islam. There's a study called the 99 attributes, which are the 99 attributes or the 99 names of God, and how God manifests his power in the world. And one of those names is Musawir. And that means one who inspires, one who uniquely inspires each soul towards a certain path or inclination. And we really have, and our mission in life is to be in touch with that inspiration. Yes. And to move forward with that divine inspiration. And that is also one of the biggest challenges, one of the biggest struggles that people have, is knowing oneself uniquely, knowing one's blueprint. I mean, I really think this is life's journey. This is the wholeness of life's journey. Yes. Is knowing oneself and giving full expression to that. Yes. And so it's everything. It's everything.
And coming full circle to appreciating that, because one of the biggest things that we suffer from as humans is a lack of self-worth, a lack of valuing oneself. And it's systemic because it comes from the collective mindset of, exactly like you were saying previously, from a very young age, you're taught. And it's the way we are at birth, right? We can't hold ourselves up. We can't feed ourselves. We're like literally just like a ball of jelly at the beginning, right? We can't do anything. And so we're sort of completely dependent on our tribe around us to provide for us. But to a large extent, that dependency can then morph into, well, you can't do anything. Do you know what I mean? As you're growing up, it's kind of like that sort of sense of like you're looking for everybody to tell you where it is that you need to go, what you need to do, when to turn left. And then you start to lose that inner voice and the energy awareness of the internal divinity that's within you. That's always guiding you through everything, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to come back to that center, I feel is definitely a homecoming for a lot of people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I pray for a world where children are given the space to be in touch with that awareness at an early age, where they're conditioned by those whose care they are in, to help them to think inwardly, the
Yeah.
inner thinking, the inner being, and so that when they are mature enough, they already have that capacity to think internally and to be aware of that voice within, that blueprint, and it helps to manifest a more productive person who, really grows into living and working in their zone. Zone.
Mm.
And when it doesn't happen, you end up with lawyers who really want to be painters, and doctors who really want to be singers. I'm just saying it's
Yeah, I know.
nothing wrong with being a lawyer or a doctor if
Yeah.
that's your divine calling and your service to mankind or to humankind. But often we're conditioned to take a certain path to create a certain family desire as opposed to what the spirit in us really wants. So,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. God, that's a big one, right? So when we move up into the heart, for me is always like a circle. It's a circle of give and receive. Whatever we give, we are also receiving. Whatever we receive, we're also giving. There's always that kind of sense of always with the heart. There's a circle. There's a circle of reciprocity, right? And when it comes to the wealth in the heart, I've noticed that there's two elements that happen when we haven't really acknowledged or owned the wealth that's already in our hearts. There's the one thing that happens where we become quite corrupt, in the sense of we become desperate for something on the outside. And so we've left our heart and all our wealth inside of us, and we're so busy looking on the outside for the thing that we feel that's supposed to be completing us, when actually what we really need to do is exactly like you were saying, getting quiet and returning to the inside to then be expressed from the inside out. And then the other thing that happens is that we cave in on ourselves. So like literally we would tell ourselves we've got nothing to say, we've got nothing to give. Who are we? Like, everyone's saying it. Everyone said that anything that we could possibly say, everybody else has said it, that kind of thing. And so for me, to find the wealth in the heart becomes so important, because it's the pulse of everything, really. What comes up for you when you tap into the heart from a wealth perspective?
Well, the heart is the center of our energy existence, really, and it's important to make sure that the heart is clean and purifying, constantly purifying, because as human beings, we have a range of experiences that can cause us hurt, or can just cause us to have sadness or some kind of hurt. And we have to do the necessary work to continue purifying our hearts through forgiveness and love and remembrance of the Creator constantly. Because the heart, a person with a good heart manifests goodness around them as long as they connect the heart with intelligence as well. You can't just have a good heart and let people walk over you, for example.
Yeah.
You have to have a good heart to guide you and a mind to help lead you to make the right decisions. There are healthy boundaries in life. And that's very important. And we have enough esteem and enough self-awareness and enough self-love to keep your heart good and pure, and to protect it from the harm that can be caused by people who don't have good hearts, if you will, right? And so to purify our hearts and to attract those who also have purifying hearts as well. it's, you know, it is probably the most important organ spiritually, if you will, because it informs everything, our actions, our thinking, our spirituality. It informs everything. It rises from the heart. The condition of the heart, it dictates the condition of everything else in our life, really. Yeah, it's a critical part of who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, basically, when I first started doing this energy work, I always used to think of embodiment in the base, because I used to think of embodiment being such a physical thing, and it is quite physical. But I've actually come to learn that embodiment is really in the heart, because the blood carries a frequency. I mean, we're 70% water, right? So the blood carries a frequency within it that actually informs every single cell in our body. And so from a heart level, whatever's going on in the heart is then literally seeping through into the body and informing every single cell. And so having intelligence as to what's in the heart and what the heart's doing becomes really important. That's what I've found. And whatever the heart's doing, that's what we're embodying, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's really important to do daily meditations, if you will, prayers, meditations, to make sure that we're heart-centered and cleansing our heart. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Morning and the last thing at night is is what I do. Get up and pray, and before I go to bed, I pray. And it's centered. It's a prayer that's centered from the heart, really. That is about purifying the heart, and it's really important.
So when we actually think about the throat, and we think about wealth of expression, the throat for me is one where so many people get blocked. So many people, it's exactly what we were talking about before, in that sense of we look to the collective, or we look to our, people externally to tell us who we are. And so when something comes up to be expressed through the throat, a lot of times we're actually looking for permission on the outside in order for that thing to be expressed. And if we don't find that permission or validation, we find ourselves getting stuck in the throat area, basically. And so the wealth of the throat, so much for me around the wealth of the throat is actually validating and giving ourselves the permission that we need to express what's coming up.
Yeah.
What comes up for you in that area?
Well, I'm really, communication is really important to me. And authentic communication, sincere communication is essential. And again, it comes back to awareness, being aware of what we are thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
And being grounded in that, so that when we articulate ourselves, we articulate from that authentic space. That we say what we mean, we say what's true for us, we speak with that genuineness, and we speak from the heart. Even difficult conversations, to speak them from the heart.
Yes.
Sometimes we have to engage in difficult conversations where we have to have where we have to clear up a conflict, for example. Do it from the heart and speak authentically. It's really, communication is also everything. I mean, without language, we don't accomplish. We accomplish so much more through language, whether it's spoken language or body language. Yeah. Language is very important. And so my thing about communication is to communicate authentically from your soul, from your heart, from yourself, being centered and grounded in awareness of who you are, what you're feeling and thinking, and sharing that with people. I have a difficult time having surface conversations with people. I I just really, I like to go deep, or not necessarily always deep, but always genuine. Just really connecting. It's so hard for me to just have surfacey kind of conversations. Really, just really communicate from soul to soul, because we really are souls here in bodies, and our souls are communicating with one another. And the level of communication that the soul requires is way beyond the surface of what most people normally do. It's about really wanting to know Tash and who her soul is, and communicating with that soul and that spirit, and making sure our communication is genuine, that I'm really communicating from my soul to yours. And, yeah, and communication is very important. I'm a communications consultant, so I teach speaking, I teach that sort of thing, and I always teach it from a space of being able, encouraging people and teaching people how to be authentic in their expression. For example, when we're having one-on-one conversations with someone, let's say in our living room, it's very easy for us to be comfortable with ourselves. We're just chit-chatting and hanging out. And then when we get in front of a room of people, we forget who we are. Speaking is one of the most feared things. In fact, there was a study done, and most people feared public speaking more than they feared death. So, and it's really about being afraid of being vulnerable. Being afraid to be known, to be seen, to be heard, for our unique, genuine thoughts to be shared and seen and felt and heard. It's a fear of that. It's a fear of just being who we are and sharing that with the world. And what I teach is for people to really get comfortable with being who they are. So that whether they're with one person or 100 people, wherever they are, that they communicate authentically from that space, so that whatever comes out is genuine.
So massive, right? And especially when we're doing sort of heart-centered, soul-centered work, that is so massive, because there is no other way to communicate, actually. When you're doing heart-centered, soul-centered work, there actually isn't any other way. You don't have any other options, basically.
Exactly.
It has to come through that way. So when we move up into the third eye, the third eye is very much about our vision, very much about our wealth, expansion of vision. So what we are able to see for ourselves, what we're able to perceive for ourselves. It's also our center of intuition. It's our center where, exactly like you were saying before, you walk into a room and you get a sense of what's going on in that room. But for me, personally speaking, when I think in terms of wealth, and I think in terms of the intuitive sense and also the visioning sense, I think about not putting a cap on anything. I think about letting the divine actually, I want to say letting the divine loose in all its glory out from the center, but allowing the divine to express from this center, I feel, is really, really important. What comes up from, for you when you think of that?
I definitely think our intuition is the spirit guide in us that we should honor and nurture and definitely be in tune with, because it is that voice within us that has the wisdom to guide us according to our own blueprints. Getting back to our blueprints.
Yes.
It is the voice that continues to guide us to see the manifestation of who we are divinely inspired to be. In life, we don't always know the next steps. But if we learn to trust intuition and our third eye and the vision that we are given, then we don't need to see all the steps. We trust the prompts that we get. We trust the direction. We trust the messages. We trust the voice. And it's really important for us to have quiet time, to be in touch with that, and to honor that through acting on what we hear, writing it down. And acting on it doesn't mean that you necessarily go right away and do that thing. It means that you thank your spirit for giving you that message, and that you capture that message, write it down, speak it into an audio message, or what have you, and take time every day or regularly, maybe 3 times a week, to go back to what the divine is saying to you and map it out, put it on your vision board, if you will. It's guiding you somewhere, and you have to trust that vision. Sometimes we get the vision and then we get the steps towards that vision. And you know, each part of the journey is the journey. So we and the tuition is always guiding us. It's all the intuition is always guiding us and prompting us, speaking to us.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's, yeah, that in itself is, there's so many gifts I feel that come out from this area, this third eye area, because exactly like you're saying, it's a way that our souls and our higher selves kind of speak to us, you know, navigational system, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. And again, it's about, we have to take responsibility to nurture that, to cultivate that. Because we're so busy during the day and in our lives in general that we get the prompts, but they're so fleeting that we live lives that are not guided. We are being tossed in different directions because we're not taking time to cultivate that third eye and to cultivate that intuition and that relationship with the divine voice within us that's always trying to guide us, again, according to that blueprint that we have. We have a blueprint, and our goal in life should be to connect with that blueprint and to channel it through in different ways to its manifestation, its full manifestation.
Yes, absolutely. So when we come to the top of the head, the crown, which is basically our connection, our connection to our divinity, our connection to our souls, but also our connection to ourselves as infinite beings. And it really speaks to the legacy of our business. It speaks to when we're sort of like long gone, what do we want to leave behind as the echo of ourselves, you know? What do we want our legacy to be? When you actually think of the crown from this point, what comes up for you there?
I think it's important for us to, again, connect our crown to our blueprint and to make sure that we are living and working from that zone, our blueprint, our zone. And when we do that, our legacy creates itself because God has intended a legacy for us before we were born. The more we connect to that blueprint and channel all those chakras, everything is really divinely connected, then we will ensure that we leave the legacy that are divinely meant to leave, that's divinely ours, that we are uniquely inspired to leave. And it goes back again to awareness and taking time to connect to that, to make sure that we are fulfilling each, each layer of the blueprint. And it unfolds in different ways at different times in our life. And so I think it's important to be conscious and aware that we are leaving something, that we do have a legacy. We will either leave it in a conscious way or leave it in a haphazard, unconscious way. And that everything we do is our signature. So everything we do, everything I do says Akanke was here. Like I'm writing it on the wall of life. Akanke was here. In my relationships, in my community life, in everything that I do, I'm signing my signature. And my signature will be the legacy that I leave, so that when I'm gone, people will think about who Akanke was, what signature she left, how she interacted with us in different spaces. And it's important for us to be conscious that we are our legacy, and every day we're creating it. We're writing a page in our book, so to speak. Yeah.
That's
Do it with awareness.
That's so beautifully said. Akanke, thank you so much. There's such a level of grace in terms of the way that you express, and yeah, it's been a gift speaking to you. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you so much, Tash. Take care.